Good morning, everyone. Imagine waking up every day, feeling unstoppable, like no matter what life throws at you, you have the mindset, the tools, and the energy to tackle it head on. Now, let me ask you this. How many of you have ever felt like you were just going through the motions, waiting for something to change? Waiting for motivation, for a break, for a reason to get excited about your day? What if I told you that conquering every day is not about waiting, it's about acting. It's about following a set of simple yet powerful rules that will not only shift your mindset, but also transform your results. Today, I want to share 5 rules that, if practiced daily, will set you apart and help you take control of your life. And before I do, I'll give you one more bonus on final key that ties them all together. So let's begin. The way we start our day is the way we set the rhythm for everything that follows. The first hour is not just an introduction to our day. It's the foundation of our mindset, our energy, and our ability to navigate challenges. It's the difference between being reactive and being intentional, between being at the mercy of circumstances and shaping our destiny. Picture this. You wake up, and the first thing you do is grab your phone. You scroll through emails, social media, the news before you've even taken a deep breath. You've already let the outside world dictate how you feel. Maybe you see a stressful email from your boss. Maybe you see a news story that sparks anxiety. Maybe you see someone else's success on social media and suddenly feel behind. And just like that, your morning is stolen. Your focus is fractured before you've had a chance to decide what actually matters to you today. Now imagine another scenario. You wake up, and before reaching for anything external, you take a moment to just be. You breathe deeply, you express gratitude, you move your body, you read something that challenges you to think, or you write down a goal that excites you. You create before you consume. In this version of the morning, you are in control. You are designing your mindset instead of letting the world design it for you. And this is where the real shift happens. Because here's the truth. The people who are most successful, the ones who move through life with clarity and confidence, they don't stumble into their mornings. They own them. They understand that the first decisions of the day determine the strength of their focus, the quality of their thinking, and the resilience they bring into every challenge. Science backs this up. A study from the University of Nottingham found that willpower isn't an unlimited resource seats like a muscle, and it fatigues as the day goes on. This means that the choices we make early in the day, when our willpower is strongest, determine how well we can handle distractions, stress, and difficult decisions later. If we waste our first moments on things that drain us, we start the day already on the back foot. But if we make intentional choices, if we invest in our mindset, our health, our growth, then we step into the rest of the day stronger, more focused, and more capable. Think about the greatest athletes, the most influential leaders, the highest performing entrepreneurs. They don't wake up and let the world dictate their energy. They start with discipline. They start with purpose. Serena Williams doesn't hit snooze 6 times before getting up to train. Elon Musk doesn't roll out of bed and check Twitter first thing. The best of the best have learned that how they start their day isn't just about morning routine. It's about setting a standard for themselves. It's about proving with their first actions that they are in control. And here's what's even more powerful. It's not just about performance, it's about how we experience life. When we take ownership of our mornings, we aren't just more productive, we're more present. We engage differently with our families. We enter our work with more creativity. We respond to stress with more resilience. We make better choices, not just for ourselves, but for the people around us. We've all had those days where we wake up rushed, scattered, reactive, the days where we feel like we're constantly catching up, where we move from one thing to the next without a moment to breathe. And we've also had days where we start with clarity, where we take time to move our bodies, to think, to set an intention. And on those days, everything feels different. We lead instead of react. We create instead of consume. We show up as the person we want to be, instead of someone just surviving the day. So the question is, which version of your day do you want to live? Which version of yourself do you want to show up as? The beauty of this is that it's not about overhauling your entire life. It's not about waking up at 4 a.m. or following a rigid routine. It's about making one decision, one commitment to yourself. It's about choosing every morning to invest in your mind before the world has a chance to pull you in 1,000 directions. For some, that might mean journaling. For others, it might be reading something that expands their thinking. For some, it's exercise, meditation, or a moment of stillness before the world wakes up. The method isn't the point. The commitment is the decision to say, I will not give away the first moments of my day to things that drain me. I will not let the world dictate my energy before I have a chance to decide what matters. Because when you own your morning, you don't just own your day, you own your life. Life doesn't come with a script. It doesn't unfold neatly the way we imagine. We can map out our dreams, set ambitious goals, and build detailed plans, but sooner or later, reality steps in. A curveball is thrown, a door slams shut, a setback knocks us to our knees, and in those moments, we are faced with a choice zone that will define everything that follows. Some people crumble when faced with the unexpected. They get stuck in frustration, lamenting what should have been, what could have been, or what would have been if only the world had cooperated with their plans. They focus on the unfairness of the situation, the mistakes of others, or the unfortunate timing of events. They let their energy drain into things they can't change. And what happens? They stay stuck. They become prisoners of their own frustration. But then there are others people who, despite being knocked down, choose to rise. Not because the challenge is easy, not because they have all the answers, but because they understand a simple, powerful truth. What matters isn't what happens to us. What matters is what we do about it. The most resilient people, the ones who inspire us, the ones who create lasting impact, are not the ones who had an easy path. They are the ones who, when faced with adversity, chose to focus on what they could control. Consider the story of Viktor Frankl, a man who endured one of the darkest chapters in human history. Stripped of everything, forced into unimaginable suffering, he realized something profound. Even in the worst of circumstances, we still have control over one thing or response. He discovered that no matter how much was taken from him, no one could take away his ability to choose his mindset, his thoughts, his meaning. And in that choice, he found his power. Every single day, we are faced with the same decision. We may not always recognize it, but we have the ability to choose where we place our focus. We can't control the economy. We can't control how other people treat us. We can't control whether the world gives us the opportunities we think we deserve, but we can control our effort. We can control our attitude. We can control our mindset. And the difference between success and stagnation, between resilience and defeat, lies in where we choose to direct our energy. Think about a time when something didn't go your way, a time when you faced rejection, failure, or loss. Maybe it was a job you didn't get, a business deal that fell through, a relationship that ended. In those moments, it's tempting to focus on what went wrong, to replay the situation in our heads, to dwell on what we wish had happened instead. But where does that get us? What changes when we obsess over the past? Nothing. The only thing that shifts is our energy drained away into frustration, leaving us powerless. Now, think about what happens when you shift your focus. Instead of ruminating on what's out of your control, you ask yourself, what can I do now? What is within my power? That's when transformation begins. That's when resilience takes root. That's when we step into the version of ourselves that refuses to be defined by circumstances and instead chooses to define the future. There are countless examples of people who have embodied this mindset. Athletes who suffered career-ending injuries only to reinvent themselves and come back stronger in a different way. Entrepreneurs who lost everything only to build something even greater from the ashes. Leaders who faced impossible odds, yet persevered, not because the road was clear, but because they refused to waste their energy on what they couldn't change. And let's be honest, this isn't easy. It's hard to accept that some things are out of our hands. It's hard to let go of expectations and adapt to a new reality. But hard does not mean impossible. Hard means there's an opportunity to grow, to stretch, to become something more. Every time we make the choice to focus on what we can control, we strengthen our ability to navigate uncertainty. We build the mental muscles that allow us to face challenges, not with despair, but with determination. So, what does this mean for you? It means that no matter where you are in life right now, no matter what obstacles you face, you are never powerless. There is always something you can do. Maybe you can't control the big picture, but you can control the next step. Maybe you can't erase the setback, but you can decide how you'll move forward. Maybe you can't change what happened, but you can change what happens next. And that's where your power lies. This is not about pretending life is fair. It's not about ignoring hardships or denying reality. It's about refusing to give your energy to things you cannot change, and instead pouring it into what you can. Because that's where growth happens. That's where resilience is built. That's where transformation begins. So The next time you find yourself faced with an obstacle, ask yourself, where am I placing my focus? Am I spending my energy on things beyond my control? Or am I directing it toward what I can change? The answer to that question will determine everything, because success, resilience, and fulfillment are not found in perfect circumstances. They are found in the choice to focus on what we can control, to take ownership of our response, and to move forward with purpose no matter what life throws our way. Success is not built overnight. It's built in the small, seemingly insignificant actions we take every single day. The problem is, we've been conditioned to believe that success has to be big, dramatic, and immediate. We glorify the grand gestures, the overnight sensations, the miraculous turnarounds. But if we pull back the curtain on any great achievement, we see something different. We see the daily grind, the quiet discipline, the tiny choices that compound over time. Success is not a single defining moment. It's the accumulation of 1,000 small moments where we chose progress over comfort, action over inertia. Think about a plane taking off. If the pilot changes the trajectory by just 1 degree, the plane will land in an entirely different destination. 1 degree doesn't seem like much, but over the course of thousands of miles, that tiny shift can determine whether you land in New York or London. The same principle applies to your life. Small, consistent actions don't just add up, they multiply. They shape who we are and where we end up. Consider the habits of the most successful people in any field. They didn't wake up one day and suddenly become great. The best athletes in the world didn't reach the pinnacle of their sport because of one incredible training session. The most influential leaders didn't wake up with all the answers in a single moment of clarity. The most talented artists didn't create masterpieces overnight. They built their skills, their resilience, and their expertise through small daily efforts that in the moment might have seemed insignificant, but over time changed everything. The problem is, we live in a world that values speed and instant gratification. We want the results now. We want the weight loss without the exercise. We want the promotion without the extra effort. We want the rewards without the process. But real success doesn't work like that. Real, lasting success is built in the trenches of daily discipline. It's built when no one is watching. It's built in the decisions we make when no one is there to praise us for them. Want to get healthier? Don't aim for an impossible workout routine that leaves you burnt out and discouraged. Just start with a 10-minute walk every day. That walk might seem trivial at first, but over time, it transforms into a habit. That habit leads to better choices, and those choices lead to real change. Want to write a book? Don't try to do it all in one sitting, right? 1 page a day, that's 365 pages in a year. That's a book. That's proof that small efforts done consistently create something meaningful. Every action we take is a vote for the type of person we wish to become. The way we show up each day, the way we choose to engage with our work, our relationships, and our personal goals is shaping our future. Are you casting votes for the person you want to be, or are you letting the distractions, the excuses, and the temporary discomfort keep you from moving forward? The challenge with small wins is that they are easy to dismiss. A single healthy meal won't transform your body. Writing 1 paragraph won't make you a best-selling author. Making 1 sales call won't turn you into a successful entrepreneur. And because the results aren't immediate, we assume they don't matter. But they do. They matter more than we realize. The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the luckiest. They are the ones who understand the power of small wins. They are the ones who stay the course, even when they don't see immediate results. They are the ones who trust the process. Because they know that success is not about doing one big thing right. It's about doing the right small things over and over again. Imagine a sculptor chipping away at a massive block of marble. Every strike of the hammer seems insignificant. The block still looks the same. But day after day, they keep chipping, and one day, the shape begins to emerge. The masterpiece was never created in one moment of inspiration. It was carved through countless small, intentional actions. This is how success works. This is how change happens. This is how we transform our lives. And here's the truth. The moment we start celebrating small wins, we start creating momentum. We start proving to ourselves that progress is possible. We start shifting our mindset from I can't to I am. We no longer wait for the perfect moment to take action because we understand that every moment is an opportunity to take a step forward. Small wins matter because they build confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, whether it's going for that walk, writing that page, or making that phone call, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. And when you believe you are capable, you take bigger risks. You aim higher. You push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. Success is never about one giant leap. It's about the thousands of tiny steps that led to it. If you take nothing else from this, remember this: small wins create big victories. 1 degree of change might not seem like much, but over time, it determines everything. Make the small choices count. Show up daily, even when no one is watching. Keep casting votes for the future you want to create. Because one day you'll look back and realize that those small wins were the moments that changed your life. Every single day, we stand at a crossroads. 2 roads stretch before us. One is smooth, familiar, predictable. It is the road of comfort. The other is steep, rugged, uncertain. It is the road of growth. And here's the truth: these 2 paths will never intersect. You can choose comfort or you can choose growth, but you cannot have both. The greatest stories ever told, the most awe-inspiring feats ever achieved, all share a single thread: someone made the decision to embrace discomfort. They chose the difficult path, the one that forced them to stretch beyond what they thought they were capable of. Think about it. Every world-changing innovation, every breathtaking performance, every revolution in history was born from the willingness to step beyond what was safe, what was known. The Wright brothers were told that humans could never fly. They failed over and over again, but they refused to let fear of failure keep them grounded. Instead, they chose growth. They chose to keep pushing until they changed the world. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes of all time, didn't even make his high school varsity team. Imagine that moment, standing there, looking at the list, realizing his name wasn't on it. It would have been so easy to walk away, to tell himself that maybe basketball wasn't for him. But he didn't. He took that failure and turned it into fuel. He trained harder than anyone else, pushed himself further than anyone thought possible. And because he embraced the discomfort of that moment, he became legendary. Growth is not meant to be comfortable. It is meant to be challenging. It is meant to test us, to break us down, to force us to find out who we truly are. And most people don't want to go through that. Most people want certainty. They want predictability. They want to avoid pain. And so they settle. They settle for a job they don't love. They settle for relationships that don't fulfill them. They settle for a life that is merely good enough. And they convince themselves that this is happiness. But deep down, they know. They know they were meant for more. They know that something inside them is being left untapped, unexplored, unfulfilled. And the only way to access that potential is to step outside of what is comfortable, to risk, to struggle, to fail, and to rise again. Look at the people who inspire you, the people who have made an impact on this world. Not a single one of them got there by playing it safe. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first television job because they said she wasn't good enough. Steve Jobs was kicked out of his own company. J.K. Rowling was rejected by multiple publishers before one took a chance on Harry Potter. These stories aren't just coincidences. They are proof that discomfort is the birthplace of greatness. But most people won't do it. Most people won't step into the unknown. They will stay in the job that drains them, the routine that numbs them, the place where they know exactly what tomorrow will look like. Because as much as they may want success, they don't want to suffer for it. Because here's the thing: they think suffering is the enemy. But it's not. The enemy is stagnation. The enemy is waking up in 10 years and realizing you are the exact same person you were today, except with more regret. The enemy is looking back on your life and realizing that fear won, that comfort won. The most dangerous place you can ever be is in a place where nothing is growing, where nothing is stretching, where nothing is changing. Because if you're not growing, you're shrinking. If you're not evolving, you're deteriorating. And if you're not becoming better, you're slowly becoming irrelevant. So the question is, what do you choose? Will you choose the easy road, the safe road, the one that keeps you warm and protected? Or will you choose the road that forces you to become more than you ever thought possible? The road that demands you risk, that demands you stretch, that demands you leave behind the version of yourself that is too small for the life you were meant to live? Choosing growth doesn't mean you won't be afraid. It doesn't mean you won't fail. It means you won't let fear dictate your future. It means you will fail and get back up, fail and get back up, fail and get back up, until one day you realize that every failure was simply shaping you into the person you needed to become. Think about a seed buried in the ground. It is covered in darkness, pressed down by the weight of the earth, suffocating in the soil. But that is the only way it can grow. It has to break apart, push against the dirt, struggle towards the light. If it refuses to fight, if it stays buried in its comfort, it will never become what it was meant to be. And so it is with you. You were never meant to stay the same. You were never meant to live a life that is small. You were meant to break through, to rise, to grow. So when you are faced with that choice, comfort, or growth, remember this. Comfort will keep you exactly where you are. Growth will take you somewhere you've never been. And that is where the magic happens. That is where you discover who you truly are. That is where your greatness lives. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." We hear this quote often, but how often do we actually pause and ask ourselves, who are my 5? Who am I allowing to shape my mindset, my habits, my future? Because whether we realize it or not, the people around us are either propelling us forward or holding us back. Look around at the people in your life, not just those you call friends, but those you interact with daily. Your colleagues, your mentors, your family, your closest confidants. Every conversation, every interaction, every shared moment is either fueling your growth or draining your potential. We like to believe we are in full control of our destiny, but science and experience tell a different story. Human beings are social creatures. We crave connection, and with that connection comes influence. Think about the last time you sat in a room full of pessimists, people who find fault in everything, who see obstacles instead of opportunities. Maybe they scoffed at ambition, dismissed hard work, or ridiculed dreams as unrealistic. How did that feel? What did that do to your energy, your drive? Negativity seeps in like poison, slowly dulling our edges, making us question ourselves, eroding our confidence. It's not obvious at first. It starts small. You complain a little more. You make an excuse here and there. You justify inaction. And before you know it, you've settled into a comfort zone you swore you'd never accept. Now picture the opposite. You're in a room full of visionaries, go-getters, people who push boundaries and break barriers. Their energy is contagious. Their passion ignites something in you. You listen to their stories of resilience, of overcoming challenges, of daring to dream bigger than their circumstances. Suddenly, your own ambitions don't seem so far-fetched. Suddenly, that idea you've been sitting on feels possible, because success is just as contagious as mediocrity. Research has proven this time and time again. A study on social networks found that obesity spreads through friend groups, not because of genetics, but because of shared habits. If those around you eat poorly and avoid exercise, you are significantly more likely to do the same. The same goes for smoking, the same goes for happiness, the same goes for success. The behaviors of the people around us don't just influence us, they shape us. So I ask again, who are your 5? Are they lifting you higher, pushing you to be better, encouraging you to take risks and grow? Or are they anchoring you to a life of complacency, fear, and self-doubt? We all have people in our lives who love us, who mean well, but who operate from a place of limitation. Maybe it's a friend who constantly warns you about failure, but never celebrates your courage to try. Maybe it's a family member who thinks dreaming big is foolish because they never had the chance to do so themselves. These people may care for you, but their fears should not become your reality. The hard truth is that leveling up requires making tough choices. It means creating distance where necessary. It means being intentional about who you allow into your inner circle. This is not about arrogance. This is about self-respect. This is about ensuring that you are surrounded by people who see the greatness in you, even on the days you don't see it yourself. This doesn't mean abandoning those who struggle. It doesn't mean cutting off relationships at the first sign of negativity. What it does mean is choosing to be the curator of your own environment, seeking out mentors who challenge you, peers who inspire you, and friends who believe in your potential as much as you do. Because the right people will not let you stay small. They will challenge you, push you, make you uncomfortable in the best possible way. They will remind you of who you are on the days you forget. If you've ever watched an elite athlete train, you'll notice something. They don't surround themselves with people who let them slack. They don't train with those who make them feel comfortable. They train with those who force them to be better, because that's how greatness is built. The same principle applies to us all. You want to build an extraordinary life? Surround yourself with extraordinary people. People who think differently, who dream boldly, who see opportunities where others see roadblocks. People who challenge you to grow, to evolve, to be better than you were yesterday. And here's the beautiful part. When you do this, you don't just change your own life. You become the kind of person who lifts others. You become the inspiration. You become the force that drives someone else to believe in themselves. And that, more than anything, is the true measure of success. So take inventory, look around, make adjustments where necessary, choose wisely, because in the end, the people you surround yourself with will define the person you become. Now, I promised you one final key that ties everything together. Here it is: live with urgency. We all act like we have unlimited time. We tell ourselves we'll get around to our dreams, our goals, our happiness. Someday, we say, someday we'll start that business. Someday we'll take that trip. Someday we'll have that conversation. But here's the truth: none of us are guaranteed a someday. Every day we wake up with a choice to lean into our potential or to let another day slip away. We think we'll always have more time. We convince ourselves that we can wait until we feel ready. But life doesn't wait. Opportunities don't wait. The people we love don't wait. Imagine for a moment that today was your last. Would you be proud of how you lived? Would you feel fulfilled knowing you gave everything you had? Or would you feel the sting of regret for the words left unsaid, the risks left untaken, the dreams left untouched? We are not here to exist. We are here to live dose show up, to play full out, to take the shot even when we're afraid we'll miss. Living with urgency doesn't mean running yourself into the ground. It doesn't mean rushing through life. It means being fully awake, fully present. It means embracing the people around you, pouring yourself into the work that matters, and stepping into the moments that shape you. The difference between those who lead extraordinary lives and those who don't isn't talent. It isn't luck. It isn't some hidden formula. It's a decision to make every day count, to approach life with an unshakable commitment to give your best, to refuse to coast, to push forward when things get hard. How often do we hold back because we're afraid of failure, afraid of judgment, afraid of what people might say? But here's the thing: fear doesn't go away. You don't wake up one day and suddenly feel invincible. The people who change the world, the ones who inspire us, the ones who leave a legacy, they feel fear just like everyone else. The difference? They don't let it stop them. Fear is always there, but so is courage. So is purpose. So is the fire inside you that refuses to settle for less than what you're capable of. The question isn't whether you're scared. The question is, will you act anyway? Will you step forward despite the doubt, despite the uncertainty, despite the voice in your head that tells you to wait? Too many of us are living on autopilot, waiting for permission to go after what we want. But no one is coming to tap you on the shoulder and say, now is your time. The only person who can decide that is you. You are the one who gets to choose how you spend your time, what you fight for, and what you leave behind. And that choice starts today, right now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. The truth is, we don't get to control how much time we have. We don't get to decide how long we get to be here. But we do get to decide how we use the time we've been given. We get to decide whether we live in hesitation or in action, whether we live in fear or in possibility, whether we drift through our days or wake up every morning with a fire to make the most of them. This is your life, no one else's, and every single day you are writing your story. Will it be one of hesitation or one of boldness? Will it be one of playing small or one of playing full out? Will it be a story that you look back on with pride, knowing you squeezed every last drop out of this life? Or will it be one filled with regret, knowing you left too much on the table? You don't need permission to start. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need to wait for the right moment. You just need to decide. Decide that your dreams are worth it. Decide that your life matters. Decide that you will no longer sit on the sidelines watching other people chase their goals while you keep making excuses. Because here's the secret: the extraordinary life isn't built in the grand moments. It's built in the small ones, the everyday decisions. The commitment to show up again and again, even when no one is watching, even when it's hard, even when it feels like nothing is happening. Success isn't about one big breakthrough. It's about consistently choosing to give your best, to learn, to grow, to take action, even when you're scared. It's about saying yes to the things that set your soul on fire and no to the distractions that pull you away from your purpose. The clock is ticking. Time is passing, whether we use it or not. And the people who win at life are the ones who refuse to let that time slip by unnoticed. They're the ones who wake up every day with urgency, with passion, with a relentless drive to make their mark. They are the ones who don't wait for permission, who don't wait for certainty, who don't wait until they feel ready. They move forward. They take the leap. They make things happen. And so the choice is yours. You can keep waiting, keep hesitating, keep telling yourself that someday you'll get around to it. Or you can decide right now that today is the day you start living like you mean it. Today is the day you show up, you go all in, you refuse to let fear win. Because in the end, it won't matter how much money you made or how many things you owned. What will matter is the impact you had, the people you loved, the risks you took, and the way you showed up for your life. You have one shot at this, one chance to leave it all on the field, one life to make a difference, to chase your dreams, to live in a way that makes you proud. Don't waste it.